Hi there. Welcome to this series on the mental and emotional effects of perimenopause. I'm Andrea, and I am the founder and co owner of Phoenix Counseling. So let's get right into it. It's called The Change, which feels oversimplified, but to be honest, is pretty profound. Perimenopause is about change, and the constantly shifting sands under our feet contribute to the significant emotional and mental health impacts in our journey. The average starting age of perimenopause is 47, but it can start as early as 39. So there are several stages to our journey. There's premenopause, considered our reproductive years. Then there's perimenopause, the stage I'm focusing on in this series. It's a phase that can go on for anywhere between 4 and 8 years, which is quite an extensive amount of time. Then, once we've not ovulated for a full 12 consecutive months, that is the single point in time called menopause. So the phrase I'm in menopause is not really accurate. What most women are referring to is I'm in the perimenopause phase. Menopause isn't a stage or process, it is the finish line. And after that, we are postmenopausal. Now that the terms are out of the way, let's talk about the new strengths and weaknesses popping up in this particular perimenopause journey, specifically in the areas of mental and emotional health. First, the struggles: difficulty concentrating, irritability, depression, anxiety, mood swings, brain fog, decreased libido, panic attacks, memory lapses. You might be surprised to hear some of those symptoms are actually related to perimenopause and not indicative of some serious health condition. Thankfully, most of us don't experience all of these symptoms, but the majority of us are experiencing at least one. The thing is, though, by the time we're in our 40s, we're typically usually self aware, have settled into some concept of who we are and how we operate. We kind of know ourselves, right? We're typically fully engaged in the details of life. We're busy, we're focused on our career or perhaps raising a family. So to suddenly develop symptoms we've never experienced before can be annoying at best, devastating at worst. If you've never had a panic attack or clinically significant depression symptoms, the onset of either in your 40s feels like a betrayal. Like, what is happening? It can threaten your sense of self, who you believed yourself to be. For me, the journey has been insidious, subtle struggles with concentrating, which has made my love of reading a challenge. My tolerance level for things that don't make sense to me has dropped dramatically, especially according to my husband. And while I've not had a panic attack, I had an experience one night recently as I was worried about a friend that clearly bordered on a full blown attack. I've never experienced that before, and it was seriously unsettling. As a person diagnosed with fibromyalgia years ago, which thankfully has been pretty well controlled, brain fog was not new to me, but I've definitely noticed it more while other symptoms of fibro have not increased, thank God. So that lets me know that this is really more associated with perimenopause than it is with my fibromyalgia. I've also seen the memory lapses, especially when I'm stressed. Just recently, our team went on a big camping trip. We had an amazing time. But this week, as I eased back into work, I noticed that in the scrambling days of preparing for the trip, I forgot to transfer a couple client appointments changes from my notes to my calendar, resulting in me no showing one of my clients. I was mortified because this is not the kind of thing that has ever been true of me. I've had to develop a lot of self compassion and flexibility as I get to know this changing brain, heart, and body. Every woman is different. Every woman experiences perimenopause differently. And that's why community and conversation in this phase is so important, because we need the collective in order to find commonality and strategies that apply to our specific journey. So let's talk strengths. First of all, navigating all this change and doing the work of shaping a new narrative and self-concept builds epic mental and emotional muscles. If we engage this journey mindfully, the details of which I'm going to get into in the second half of this month, we develop mental health skills that will serve us well the rest of our lives. If I could sum up the strengths of this phase in one word, it would be clarity. There is something about the changes happening in our brains and bodies that bring priorities to the surface. Maybe it's the recognition that the time ahead is getting shorter than the time behind, which creates a sense of urgency incompatible with wasting time on work, relationships, or habits that aren't life-giving. For the first 2 to 3 decades of our lives, our focus is on acquiring knowledge. Sometime, somewhere in our 30s, we begin to acquire wisdom if we're willing. I heard James Maxwell say one time, people assume that age and wisdom travel together, but sometimes age arrives alone. And so that's why I say specifically we acquire wisdom if we're willing. And when I say wisdom, I'm talking about the perspective that we gain from reflecting on and analyzing our lived experiences, which gives us the ability to make sound judgments about using the knowledge that we have. By the time perimenopause shows up, that wisdom is crystallizing and we're kind of really establishing ourselves and how we do life. But then our bodies start to demand more attention because we're trying to figure out what in the heck is going on. Greater reflection starts happening, just trying to make sense of everything. And this often leads to deeper insight into the desires we have for our coming years. What works for us, what doesn't. I've been wondering, is the irritability reported in this stage simply our growing refusal to roll over and put up with that which doesn't align with our values? Something you think about. The strengths of this phase are all about shedding the ridiculous expectations and pressures of society and staking our claim to who we truly are, what we actually want, and how we want to love and work. We sharpen our focus, we exercise our voices, we love harder if we have a healthy perspective and the needed tools. Let me know your thoughts about what I've shared so far in the comments below. Next week, I'm going to talk more specifically about what is happening with our bodies and what that means when it comes to our sense of control. Check out the description box and you'll find a link to score my outline of this series, which will allow you to take notes as you follow along each week and create an action plan at the end. I want you to be able to run with this conversation and make an actual difference in your perimenopause journey. Hopefully by the end of the series, I'll be able to say that smoothly. Also, I'll be hosting a live conversation in June. Not sure what platform yet and the date, but it will be happening in June because I want us to chat about what is happening, how it's affecting your emotional and relational health, what you want to learn, and what you need to make this a season of leveling up. All right, I'll see you guys next Monday.